some in marketing their work and showing off what they create. So that's really great. Let everyone know it's going to be photograph recorded. And Charles, did you have anything you wanted to chime in early here? So that's really great. Let everyone know it's going to be photographed recorded. Okay. And Charles, did you have anything you wanted to chime in? Okay. Great. So great. Let everyone know it's going to be photographed. Stacy is not going to be able to join us. Okay. And Charles, did you have anything you wanted to chime in? Great. So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's going to be photographed. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations. Great. So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations. Great. So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about the So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about the So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about So what I wanted to do was let everyone know it's doing it. Stacy is not going to be able to join many of our artist conversations about
Find somebody who we consider to be an influencer, somebody who loves to discover the trendiest, most exciting new restaurant or new object, and to sign that person up to spread the word about your business. And so if you were to receive business from that person's suggestion, then everybody would benefit. But it was too complicated, so it's a little bit more. It's better to just sort of make a direct grant, and then just get feedback about it, or get feedback about what happened with it.
Right. And is this the one that's modeled on that NIF thing or something out of Boston, or is that a whole different?
It's completely different. I guess my expectation, or initially the expectation, was that the whole NIF program would provide something that we could piggyback on. I mean, if they've already worked out the program, that would be ideal. But the NIF program is substantially different in that the money goes to the buyers, and then they are only allowed two choices. They don't get to choose what businesses that they're going to benefit. So they're assigned two choices, and then they've got that money to spend. And, you know, that's just been rolled out. I don't know whether I would be interested in finding out from you all how you've heard it's going for people. Well, we don't have to do that now, but,
Right.
you know, based on a few Facebook threads I've been following, it's, you know, the success is all over the map. I mean, you know, some people have gotten a lot of attention, and others wanting to be consumers were, you know, applied, and the money was already gone. So anything else you guys want to know? Nope.
What are you going to do for the state tour next year? Do you
What are
know?
we going to do?
Yeah.
If you can tell me the virus will be under control, then I can tell you. But, you know, I think by next spring, I mean, expect by next spring that we will all have gotten really good at the social distancing and keeping all kinds of interactions safe. So, and you know, I and my family go around to Open Studio during every event, and we've never been in a studio with more than about 7 to 10 people anyway. So it seems to me that, in other words, while we were there, that's how many people came in. So it seems to me that should be able to proceed as normal, whatever normal at that point would be.
Great, great, good. So one other thing I think that came out when you tried to do the virtual tour, you know, in the fall, and I know that, you know, was a try, was the attempt to do these, have the different artists and artisans create these small videos about themselves and their studio to do it. And I think that at different levels of success, but I think that we've talked about that after that, some of the artists that participated. And I think there's some real value in, and maybe this will come up in this conversation or as we move forward with the artists talking about marketing their work. But I think there's a real value in artists and artisans creating that 1.5-minute video about themselves and their studio, not only to share on their webpage, but also if we create archives in our community of artists in that community that people can click on. So I know it didn't all unravel, maybe go the way you wanted it to go or what it was, but I think that was a really thought that we should continue to pursue. I thought it was valuable.
I think the Crafts Council is going to be offering, I know the Crafts Council is going to be offering more of those in the future, and they're probably, you know, in the aftermath of our attempt to bring Spring Open Studio online as a virtual tour. You know, we just learned a tremendous amount. I mean, it's like,
Sure.
Ouch.
Yeah.
But a lot of what we learned was that if you want people to be successful in from wherever they are at bringing their artwork online and making it accessible, you have to be on call, and you have to provide, you know, one-to-one support if that's needed. And you know, I think the board is willing to do that kind of thing in the future. And so not only will we do these like little mini Zoom trainings, but we'll also be available to help people who need more help.
Great, thank you. Great, Martha. So I would like to kind of move us on. Did anyone have any big pressing question for Martha? Did I miss any hands or anything? Okay. I'd like to move us into the conversation part of this of this meeting. And this kind of has come out of a lot of our Artist Town meetings where artists have shared their successes with marketing on different platforms, whether it's email or Instagram and this and that, and their frustrations. And for the longest time, we kept talking about maybe inviting a consultant or quote unquote an expert to come in and address the Artist Town meeting group and a series of things. And we've been having some informal coffee clatches, and in one of them, several of the artists that are going to be in the conversation tonight, I just started listening to them talk as they went back and forth about their challenges, their successes, their this, and realized that really the most valuable tool was for us to be able to listen to them and as they go through the process, because it's we probably all identify with parts of what they're doing, and let them kind of take the conversation to the next level of what we address. And if we bring a consultant to talk, we would have them continue to be this group that goes through 5 or 6 parts of this series. And they would benefit from that, and we would record it. So if you can't come to the meeting, you could still check in with these things, sort of like a virtual TV program, but that the artists are doing this by a conversation, not by a panel, and not being talked at necessarily. So that was kind of the inspiration that we've done it. And this is our first click. And this, once again, is a collaboration that we're working with Fact TV. Thank you, Colin, behind the logo there, for doing this, because this is being live on Facebook. It will be uploaded to YouTube. It'll be an Everyday People show, and then we have the recording. So I want to remind people that it is being recorded, and that we will let the artist just go through this half-hour conversation around, and then we will have some question and answer period, you know, if people want to ask them direct questions. So Charles, did I miss anything on that?
Hey, Robert.
Yeah.
Could we all just quickly introduce ourselves? Because
Yeah,
I'm
well,
seeing some
we're getting
people,
to that.
there that I don't know. So
Oh, well, I don't, how many people are on the call?
there's 18 people here that I don't know half of them. So
Oh, well, okay, we should just say your name. That's it. I'm Robert
Well, we could
McBride from the Rockingham Arts and Museum Project.
Okay.
Scott
Chris?
Morgan,
Yep, Scott?
I'm an artist.
North Brown.
And
Jeanette?
Betsy, work at the library.
Great.
Cool.
Lynn Barrett,
Yeah. This lady right here is on mute. Veranda's on mute. There she is.
Okay, I'm Veranda Porsche. I live in Guilford. I write poetry and songs.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Nick Kekic. I'm a glass artist in Bellows Falls.
Chris Sherwin, also glassblower, 33 Red Street in Bellows Falls.
Great. Who are we missing? Greg?
Greg Worden, Vermont Artisan Designs in Brattleboro, and also American Craft Week.
Great to see you.
You see-
David? You want to introduce yourself?
He's muted.
Oh, David, you're muted.
There we go. How's that?
Yep,
Good.
I'm an artist living in Ludlow.
great. Jean? Jean, are you muted?
She
they have
doesn't
to-
appear to be, but we can't.
People have to unmute themselves. See, we
Oh,
muted
I-
everyone. Yep,
I unmuted myself. Can you
Yep.
hear me?
yep.
A
yes,
little
No.
bit.
I'm a painter. I live in Bellows Falls, and is this whole meeting going to be about social media marketing?
Yes,
Okay, I might bail out because
fine, no problem. You can do it.
it's lovely to see you all, but
Okay, okay. Betsy? Oh, you have.
Hi there.
Yep.
I'm Betsy Thurston. I'm the new executive director for Bellows Falls Downtown Development Alliance. So
Oh, you made it. Nice, Bessie.
Welcome aboard.
glad to see
Hey.
all your faces.
Okay. And Charles?
I'm Charles Norris Brown. I live in Bellows Falls. I work with Ramp, and I'm an artist on the side.
Okay. Alan? Let's see, people.
Claire, maybe?
Yeah, hi.
Claire?
Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yep.
I'm an artist and I live in the Cambridgeport Grafton area.
Okay. Okay. Alan, are you unmuted yet?
Yeah, he's trying.
Yeah, I'm Alan Fowler. I'm with Fact TV and the Village Square Booksellers.
All right. And Lindsay?
She's connecting. Jeanette, maybe?
Yep, I'm Jeanette, painter, artist in North Westminster.
And,
Lindsay's still connecting, I think.
okay. Well, great.
Cool.
So we are, whoops. Lindsay, maybe she's on another one.
She's
Two
trying
Lindsay.
another device, maybe?
Okay, well, the reason we You can mute and unmute yourself, but we would like to go through the conversation without any interruption to the people talking back and forth, and then save your comments and observations for the Q&A period. And Lindsay, are you with us? No. Well, so I think once again, if the artists want to identify themselves again that are going to be in the conversation, and just take it away.
I'm Chris Sherwin, again, glassblower in Bellows Falls. Glassblowing since 1993. I've been back in town since 2004 and set up the studio in 2005. And Robert and I and others that we'll talk in a minute have been co-hosting Artist Town meetings for probably well over 10 years now, I think. And we've started little coffee clutch meetings, a little less formal, once a month, once every couple of weeks, depending on the time of year, where we get together and just kind of hash out what's going on, what we need to do, what everybody's doing, just keeping in touch and networking. And then since COVID started, we've started trying to do these virtually. And I think tonight's came about just by one of our coffee meetings a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, where 3 of us were sitting around just kind of hashing different social media platforms and how we're trying to navigate them, how we can maybe help each other. And Robert thought it would be a great meeting to share with everybody, or a theme of an Artist Town meeting. So here we are.
Right. So it's kind of been a process that we've been talking and taking little steps, and so people are sort of jumping in the middle of the process. So it might seem it's a little wonky, but basically we've been talking about how to make the most of the virtual gallery that we're all suffering through now, and recognizing that it's that we need to be able to do both, that we need to be able to have a really strong online presence in addition to whatever is going to happen with physical gallery space. And so we've gotten to the place where a small group of us have sort of started this pod, this little mini pod, where we're trying to figure out how to share each other's Facebook posts and social media posts so that we can expand our viewers, because we're right, like we keep preaching to the choir. And so we're trying to figure out how to expand that. And one of the ways we were trying to expand it was just with each other. So like Chris and Scott and I were trying to figure out how to share each other's posts. But then, you know, we need to expand beyond that. And so that's sort of where we're at. And we're thinking about it in terms of, you know, under the context of, we've got these open studios coming up. For instance, the Putney Craft Tour, I've got coming up next. And so these are the sort of structures and deadlines too that we're dealing with.
Hello. Thanks, Jeanette. I'm Scott Morgan. I'm a painter and an artist, and I've been painting within the confines of Chris's studio going on 10 or 11 years now, and I hang out with Chris and Nick quite a bit. And my challenge that's related to social networking is that I think we could all use help in figuring out the right type of resources so that we have the proper e-commerce, we have shops online so that we can sell our stuff online, because there's all the social networking part, but I'm having to back up now and figure out, how do I create a good shop? Where do I get print on demand how do I set up the resources to monetize what I do? Because besides the original paintings I create, that's a tough sell right now. And so, and last year I did a lot of art festivals and art shows that were very expensive, and I sort of broke even. And I just came to the realization that I really needed to sell online. And one reason I didn't jump on the craft tour earlier this year is because online I don't really have a way to sell stuff. I don't have a call to action in my website, my shops, and so that's something where I could use, some shared resource around what people are using in, as far as Square or Square Up, and things like that, and how to create shops. And anyone that I just found a really good canvas printing company out of New York that I'm happy with. There's getting good photography. I'm having to go back and reshoot all my work. So these are my challenges right now, are creating work that I can move towards the social networking part. But I was really focusing on posting, but then I realized I have nothing for them to push a button and buy, so that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I share some of those problems, Scott. I'm Claire. My biggest problem is I don't really love social media and computer work. I much rather be in my studio working with my hands, but it's a necessary evil. I did participate in the virtual open studio with the Vermont Crafts Council, and it worked out for me because it really pushed me to have to do it. I really struggled, but I was able to come up with something. So I felt happy about that. The other thing I struggle with is I work across a bunch of different mediums. So I'm not sure how to present myself. I do printmaking, I do painting, I do glass work. So really how to write my story and put it out there in a way that's not confusing to people. So I keep thinking that maybe I should be structuring my posts around an event, whether it's the open studio or a show or an opening, rather than my day-to-day work in the studio, which can jump from here to there. So that's my thought. I did come in late on this group discussion. I missed a couple of the coffee clutches, so I'm kind of catching up.
When you were doing the virtual tour, Claire, how were you able to sell work?
I didn't get that far.
Mm-hmm.
I got just to that point. So that would be probably the next step for me.
You have a similar situation than I was.
Yeah, but at least I felt accomplished that I was actually able to get my work out there and was able to make the video, even though it was fairly amateurish. It was okay. It was presentable.
Well, I finally found a photographer, actually one that was working with Nick, and I figured if she could shoot glass with all the challenges of glass, then she could shoot my work. So there's a photographer in Springfield that's doing really good work, and I submitted some of the photography to a print-on-demand company, and they were very happy with the work and thought I could make beautiful large prints from it. So I have that resource now if anyone else needs good photography.
Yeah. My name's Nick, again, glass artist. And, I think the challenge is for all of us is the same kind of challenge we all have trying to stick out at a craft show, right? I mean, the same stuff kind of comes up where, how do you present yourself? What is your story? What do you make? What do you, and that we're all creative on so many different levels. Usually it's because, multiple jobs or multiple interests or whatever. So at some point we have to curate, like, what do we want to show? What do we, and what is going to inform the curation, about, is it what's going to sell, or it's what you want to make, or is it what you're most proud of? Can you reproduce it? All of these things I think are individual and relative to each one of us, but really that's the challenge, is to kind of take a step back from this idea that there's one thing that's going to work for everybody, but really to kind of take a step back and say, all right, well, what is my story? What makes my work unique? How am I going to present myself? And it is learning a new language. Like you said, Claire, it's not generally, we're not often most satisfied working on the computer. It's a challenge for most of us. But I think there is a way to find your voice in that. But it's a learning curve that does take time, I think. So even like your point of just getting to that point, of almost selling something, at least you created the video, and then the next time you do it, you're going to build off of that experience. Scott, you found a photographer now that is going to help you, promote your work in a way that, people can't stand in front of it. They need to see it on it needs to hit them over the head in the same kind of way, but now you're dealing with an 8.5 by 11 screen. So in that regard, we have to figure out ways to emphasize those, I guess, the solutions to the challenge. I think this is a big subject, I think, to challenge as a group in this conversation. And I think Robert's goal of just kind of having an informal conversation, hopefully others can glean something from it. But it does seem to me that each platform, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or your email posts, or maybe you do a blog, your content may not fit all of those different platforms. So depending on what you're doing, right? Instagram has a pretty heavy visual focus. For people that are doing visual art, it's pretty easy. If you're a songwriter, maybe it's not such an easy thing. So, that learning these languages and what platform works best for us is not going to work for everybody. So, if I have any suggestion to anybody, it's to try and familiarize and pick one or two to start with that make the most sense for you. And then maybe there's some version of each of those that you can use, but it's a little overwhelming at the beginning. But I think focusing on high quality images has got to be a common thread, or, and if you're trying to sell your work online and not just promote it and show it, then you really need to think about a website with a shopping cart feature, which is another thing to consider. Also, you then got to think of, how do you sell your work? Is it marketable? Maybe you have to, it's a marketing question, which is something probably we all individually could benefit from talking about, how to market our work, meaning package it and make it palatable. If there is a market out there, how do you connect to that market? And we're not experts in that. We generally love making something. How to figure out our relevancy is a different conversation, but
well, it's also commitment. I think that's what I keep running up against. It's like people talk about, when my son helped me do my website, he said, I'll help you with this website, but you have to make a commitment to your social media. Like, you have to every week, Sunday and Thursday, post stuff, whatever. Yeah. That's horrifying. I'm terrible at that. Yeah. And so one of the things that I was hoping with a small group is that we'd encourage each other. We'd be on each other's back. We'd be accountable, in other words,
right,
to some other than ourselves.
Right.
Like, I haven't seen a post from you in quite a long time.
I know. See?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah.
Because you can't even know if it's going to work unless you give it a couple of months or something.
None of us really are really good at waving our own flag and saying, yes, hey, look at me. This is a bigger issue. And most of us are used to working with a gallery who will tell us what our value is and will promote our work for us. And that's a luxury maybe we don't have anymore, because those people are really, they don't have a door people can walk through right now. So,
but we can also be each other's cheerleaders.
Oh yeah, and I think that's how we're here, Jeanette. I mean, right, of course, but But there is this is something to, recognize though, and I'm not great at it either. I think to be consistent, if we're only able to do 2 posts a month, it's not much, but at least stick to that, start with that. And I'm terrible at it too. I'll just say it. I've been lucky that my, followers are growing. It hasn't really added up to sales, but I know that my reach is growing, and it does take time. Even the gentle breeze is pushing us in the right direction. Maybe not quickly. But yeah, the commitment piece is hard, but I think we all, if we were good at it, we wouldn't be here, right? You know what I mean? If we were really great at self-promoting ourselves. So we got to develop new muscles for that. I guess there's that element of it. And like you said, try and figure out a way to advocate for each other and cross market and network. Isn't that what it is, right?
Yeah, I think those are all really good points. I think the hardest thing is being your own cheerleader, promoting yourself. Hey, look at me. How do I drive sales? And the biggest thing for me is the commitment part, because I can sit on my bench and make a piece and get it to a gallery. And it's within my wheelhouse, and I built a product line that, well, pre-COVID sold pretty consistently. So I knew that time was well spent. Anything else as a maker, getting past that, this is a waste of time thought, it's not making me direct money has been my biggest challenge, that especially now. And thankfully I had already started making some of these changes trying not to be naive and think that, I'll just make it and it'll sell, I had a website in place already. So my big focus is driving sales to that website, however that can happen. And so making permission in my own time frame that the posting, that the social media piece, whether it's an email or an Instagram post, taking a really nice picture, bracketing it, coming up with some sort of note that goes with it that doesn't seem preachy or too salesy, but it's true to myself, that it's another whole challenge. But making permission to dedicate a certain amount of time, knowing that it's a long process, is the hardest thing, to just trying to get that steam train moving up the hill. Like you said, a gentle breeze. I like that. That's an analogy I can kind of work with. I'm waiting for the hurricane. It's just not there, but
yeah.
So it almost sounds like we need some kind of support group where every couple of weeks you have to check in and be held accountable by your peers. Yeah, could be helpful.
Or we need Greg to open a bigger gallery and just go back to the old days, and where he does all the work for us.
Right.
Well, and I think, Greg, you probably have some input into this conversation. I'm sure you're trying to find your voice in the new social media marketing realm. But what is your take on this?
It's a continual challenge for everybody, as you have pointed out. We're working on a new website. We've been advertising. There's a virtual gallery walk with Fine Art Connoisseur every week that we've been putting art on for the last couple months to go nationwide. They've got like a 69 or 70,000 viewer list that then brings people to our website, and hopefully helps the artists as well. We put up different art each week. For that's not an inexpensive thing, but hopefully it gets some more exposure for Vermont. One of the other things that I've been working on for a long time is the American Craft Week, that Vermonters can sign up for no charge again this year. That takes place in October for about 10 days, and you can come up with various things to promote your own work during that special time. If you go to AmericanCraftWeek.com, you can sign up for that at no charge. And that gets you a listing in Vermont, but it's seen nationwide. Again, small things, small steps to try and make things work. We are open. We were closed for 9 weeks, but our doors are open. We have room to social distance and, encourage, well, we have people wear masks. We have sanitizer. We have gloves if they want them. But people are starting to come out. And I'm going to talk out for 2 seconds more and then I'm going to shut up. But people are really excited when they come out. Some of them have been in their home for 3 months now, and they say, it's been the first time that I've been out in a store or in a gallery for 3 months, and it feels so good. So you have that going for you if you can have an open studio at all. Just something to think about.
Right. That's been my experience too. I'm involved in a co-op gallery up in Woodstock, and our sales are certainly down, but the people that come in, it's like they've, hit an oasis out in the desert. They just are so grateful. And so it's obvious that, there's still a captivated audience. They're just kind of being held at the gate right now. And I think about my kids being in school, and there's different, are you in school, are you hybrid? And I think that we have a similar model to what we're doing. Like, it's basically, we're all going to have to be quick on our feet and adapt and go on this spectrum of either everything remote 100% or in person would be the other end of the spectrum. And we're going to be operating within this for the next, I don't know how long. This is my own take on it. So as many of these social media and website, your email list, all of these things that are going to help, connect you to your community, your customer base, on top of, maintaining those contacts with galleries, maintaining, some galleries are open. And I think we're gonna need all of these tools to get through. But I don't think the brick and mortar model is dead. From what I can tell, it's just kind of everybody's in tread water mode. And so, that part is encouraging. And I guess I want to emphasize that. It's just kind of, this COVID thing is forcing a lot of us to do what we know we should have done already, which is have a website, email list, right? And it's painful because it's all happening under duress now, and we're behind the 8 ball, for many.
I want to jump in and let you know you have about 7 or 8 more minutes in the conversation.
Well, one of the things we were talking about as a pod was some simple, practical ways to network. And one of the things that we had not figured out yet is we all know how to go from Instagram to Facebook with just a click of a button, but we're not great at going from Facebook to Instagram. And I know there's a way to do it, and there's some back end ways in Facebook where we can do that, but we haven't figured that out yet. So we're open to learning more about that. But we have figured out how to share each other's posts and how to schedule posts on Facebook. And so we're getting somewhere. And the idea is that we will network with each other, but we also can find other influencers in social networking, in this social networking arena, and we can network with those people too and share their posts, and then perhaps gain their followers as well as another way to network. So this is just some practical social networking things that we've been working on.
And we do have Stacy Naheisky is going to be helping. Charles just reminded me, with a few minutes left, a few of us have gone down different roads to try to help ourselves get through this and not just take it on. And there's a couple of makers that have done through the Vermont Craft Council and the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen. Rebecca Haas and Becca Webb have done, I think it's Making It as a Maker. And Nick has gone through some classes with them, as well as myself, on they break it down from Instagram, Facebook, how to set up your profile, how to photograph good work, or how to take good photographs of your work, how to promote it, what's your story. And then Stacy has embraced social media, Stacy Naheisky, and she's going to be assisting our little pod, I believe. And she's got her, one of her things is hugs, it's help understand guide, and share. And so it's all about, it's broken down into very kind of easy to follow mechanisms and brainstorming sheets, et cetera, to help us get through this instead of just feeling like you're flailing. There are trainings available, and that's something that we're hoping to continue to go through and then be able to share, whether it's through these artist town meetings, or you could come see us individually. You know, Nick and I are at 33 Bridge Street 5 or 6 days a week. Our doors are open. We have masks and sanitizer like Greg. So any of you makers, you're welcome anytime for sure to just stop by. But there are methods and mechanisms to not feel like you're doing it on your own. And Martha, are there on the Vermont Craft Council website, are any of those trainings still available for people to see, or you're still muted, sorry.
Yeah.
Martha, you're muted.
Anyway, they're available. They're not on our website. I could probably share them with this group or with at least with Robert.
Members. Yeah, okay.
And
or if you're a member, yeah.
Yeah, so, but I know that they, you know, we are thinking of breaking down those presentations into micro groups, micro presentations later, and that might be more useful.
Yeah. So there are, for artists that are scared to even jump into any of this, there are resources out there, local and regional, to help through. And that's kind of how our pod all started, is a number of us have done some rendition of different trainings, and we started kind of gathering together to share what we've learned and to help each other, you know, with these little nuggets that maybe one Scott had that I didn't have, or Nick had that Jeanette didn't have, and try to work together to, like Nick said earlier, find our voice and find our way through all these different methods of getting seen, you know, and getting people to our website or creating these websites. There's information on how to do that as well.
I did get a chance to look at Stacy's website, Embrace Social U, a little bit, and what I liked about it was her idea of coming up with a strategy for social media, like thinking it through ahead of time and almost having an outline. Whereas I tend to, you know, wake up and think, oh my gosh, I have to post on social media. What am I going to post today? And I'm not sure. And I get kind of foggy and confused about it.
Yeah.
But if I had set beforehand, you know, a plan on my posting, I think it would just take a lot of the stress out of it, make it just something I follow, follow the steps.
And Stacy's really good about that. She breaks it all down. She encourages you to set it up on a, you know, yearly, monthly, weekly, daily, you know, breaks it all down. So she's got a really organized system that I think does help some of us. Oh, geez, I got all this stuff to think about. And like you said, if you have that already thought out, okay, today I'm going to post about this. Or you can set it up on a Sunday and, you know, have all your posts done ahead of time. There are apps and methods to do that. So you don't have to do it every day. You can sit down and have your posts for the month already created, and they will go out themselves. So depending on the way you work and the way you want to get yourself out there, there are different methods to use.
I know that this works because the two Rebeccas that you mentioned, they've been very successful. We've seen other people that have just become successful and built an audience through posting and posting and posting. But I'm not convinced that that's all it will take. So I'm also interested in creating ads using video, and that's something I also have a connection with a social networking guru that has done really well doing that. And that's, especially for me, with my abstract work, I have a hard time selling it locally. So I need to get out of the area and I need to get past my friends and family. So I'm interested in creating video and doing small video ads and putting a little money when I get money behind these ads on Facebook and reaching and being able to reach and target an audience that's outside of my current audience. So that's something hopefully I'll get to try sometime, and we'll share with you all how that works. But I do know that that isn't something we could all be thinking about as well. And very interested in talking with Fact TV and anyone that's a good videographer about how to create some really high-end, beautiful video that I can use to create ads. So I'm looking for help with that as well, as I've tried to make them on my phone, and I have that software that some of us have where you can put stills together with video and make decent videos, but they still don't look high-end enough that I think someone would want to buy a $5,000 painting seeing a little video that I've made on my phone. So looking for help with that.
Good.
Yeah, I know somebody, Scott, who, in fact, Larissa, the photographer, through her, anyway, we could talk about that, but this is part of it is kind of all, I know somebody, like.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Actually, and Larissa recommended that I talk to Alex at Fact TV. And I have spoken with Alex before, but it was expensive to have them make a video for me. But there's options for me to go in and use their equipment and things like that. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, it's an idea.
Yeah. So I'd like to invite people in the group, they want to unmute themselves if they had any questions or comments to participate in the conversation for the next few minutes.
And also, you guys should open up your chat and look at, there's some interesting things on the chat here, and a comment from Lindsay. I don't know if you all saw that. She's not here, but she left us a nice note.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah.
It's in the chat, Robert.
Yep. Well, does anyone want to ask any questions? Or
and if Greg could type in his chat some of those things he was suggesting, the American Craft or whatever you were suggesting, Greg, that we sign up for. If you could put that
American
in the chat.
Craft Week. It is, it's free, but maybe Greg, you could put the link in.
Sure.
David, did you have a question?
I do, for Scott. Scott, you mentioned a company in New York that's doing reproductions for you. What's the name of that company?
Canvas G-Clay Printing.
Oh, okay.
You know them?
No, but
yeah.
How did they come up?
Good title,
How'd
right?
they come up with the name?
.com.
Right.
They bought that domain really early on, right?
Right.
And then you mentioned a photographer in Springfield. That was Larissa.
Yeah, I'll get you her phone number right here.
Burak, yeah. Last name Burak.
Yeah, she has a website too.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
And Charles already put Stacy's Embrace Social Media, or Embrace Social U. She has a website, strong online presence, and we should be hearing more from her hopefully soon.
Oh, unmute yourself.
Who's that? Lynn? No.
Lynn.
Yeah, Lynn.
I'm really interested to hear this conversation. As entrepreneurs, in a way, as artists, you are entrepreneurs. I'm very interested to see the level of your anxiety in terms of social media and promoting yourselves. I have heard this a lot, but to hear it in this context is very interesting. And gosh, there must be a better way to help you. And I'm not sure what it is, but even to get somebody in, like Robert said, into a seminar or something. And I know that that's not just learning what you need to be doing, but also the anxiety or the commitment around it. And when you're saying you're posting, 2 times a month, you need to be posting 4 or 5 times a day, that sort of thing. So gosh, maybe Robert, are you thinking about bringing some, like having a meeting, a roundtable meeting, so people can actually, get a little more information?
Well, I think one of the steps we're thinking of next is, I'm going to ask everyone and the 5 artists that have been participating in the conversation to go home and look at this video.
Yes.
And then we'll probably have a coffee clutch. And we were then sort of seeing what kind of came up in it, what was kind of missed. But then also I want it to be I would like to see it that this group continues to develop, getting information about things that will help them move along.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're just actors, they're like people in this real situation. And I don't really want to set up panel situations or teaching situations as much as if we introduce someone, they may have homework for the next one and conversation that evolves so they actually finally benefit from the things they need to learn. And with it being recorded, anyone can look at these then and also go through the steps with them. I imagine everything that all these different great artists express were common denominators that everyone's feeling on some level or in some aspect. Jeanette might have mentioned something that, oh my gosh, I was thinking that, or something that Scott brought up. So that's what I'm hoping for, is that the natural conversation they have and where they decide these conversations want to go, they might identify the quote unquote syllabus as we move through maybe 5 or 6 sessions of something like this. So this is just was the initial feedback. It was a great collaboration that Fact TV was willing to be the Zoom host. So it took the pressure off of all of us with Colin behind the scenes doing stuff. And then I want the artists to look at it. And I want all the people who participated to give us feedback, send Ramp an email with thoughts or ideas or stuff. And Martha, I know it might be even interesting that we have some kind of survey kinds of stuff that could put out if you have a background in simple, where do we take, grow this momentum? Because as I think Nick mentioned, we were headed, I think the art marketing was headed in this direction no matter what. COVID just sped it up. I think, the idea was, how do you get beyond Vermont? How does an artist really going to possibly make a living by selling their artwork in Vermont? They have to reach a bigger world. Vermont's a very creative, wonderful place to be, but and I think this is just the direction things were moving in, and it just sped it up. And Jeanette working with the pod idea, is I just want to help encourage. Ramp just wants to support that. So, we'll have our next coffee clutch and we'll look at things. And Stacy had met with us before, and we're waiting some notes back from her, and just see where these 5 artists want to take it. If they're willing to.
I think it's been very, very interesting. One thing, Scott, you mentioned you were trying to figure out how to get Facebook posting directly to Instagram. There's just a button you need to push on the back end, and I can email you about that if you want.
That'd be great.
There's so many tips and tricks. And also, one of the biggest ways to promote yourself really is to have others do it for you. In other words, using media, getting stories in newspapers and magazines and, that sort of thing, getting testimonials, people who love your work, because again, you're not promoting yourself. It's always better when a third party is helping you, like the Vermont Arts Council, which does an incredible job, and like Greg in the gallery.
Yeah.
So, that sort of thing is really good.
Yeah, I was interviewed by Channel 3 in Burlington, and I immediately sold 2 or 3 small paintings.
Yeah.
But then I asked them to let me use the video, and they would not.
I did
So
same thing.
yeah.
And it goes beyond the trainings, Lynn, at least for myself. I've been through a bunch of them, but it really is making permission and making the commitment and the realization that it's, especially now, as important as making the work, and that finding that balance. Nick talked to it. What is my voice? How do it would be great. And that's what we kind of talked about, sharing each other. So we're not feeling like we have to sell ourselves. And using your magazines have been great, or using various galleries like Vermont Artisans is wonderful to help us, and that's the reason I went that route in the beginning, is like I wanted to give the work to the galleries because their job was to promote my work.
Exactly.
And I could focus on making it. And now it's there, but it's, way cut back. And so I really need to voice myself or find my voice. And that's the hardest part, is how do I make it not sound fake to myself? How do I get past the point of, does people really want to hear this? Tooting my own horn is what it feels like. And I have to get beyond that. It's almost like getting on stage or speaking in front of people, and you have to kind of put the mask on about all these people are looking at me, and just speak from your heart, find your voice, and realize Stacy and I think both the makers they want to hear your story. They want to hear your challenges. They want to know when your furnace breaks down, because it's like, whoa, that happens and glass melts all over the place. And for us, it's just every day, oh crap. But it's a story, and people do like to hear the trials and tribulations and the good and the bad, and getting beyond my own, idiosyncrasies about thinking that people don't want to hear that is the biggest challenge, at least for me. I've been through the trainings. I at least have a fundamental knowledge of what to do.
Yeah.
But to do it is the next hurdle for me,
I'd like to follow up with that and just say that you might want to try interviewing each other, or so that it's an artist interviewing an artist, or a conversation between two artists, because then you're much more relaxed. And you might talk about something silly that happened. Sense of humor.
That's a neat idea. And Robert's Everyday People that he does is a great, if any of you have not been on that, it's a really low key, informal interview that's on Fact TV, and thank you for Fact to do that and host that. And I've done it, I think, a couple of times with you, Robert, and it's a great way to sit down and informally kind of talk about where you are or what's next, without feeling like you're pushing yourself or on somebody.
I don't know if Veranda is still here, but having somebody like Veranda interview you guys, oh my God. Something along those lines could be really, really helpful for all of you. And, maybe there'd be a way to do that.
Chris and everybody, you can also do something that I've been able to do at the bookstore, is do a Facebook Live on a certain topic. So let's say you have a new product that you're experimenting with, and you do a Facebook Live and see how many people get into it. The Threaded Trunk Boutique, when she was doing LuLaRoe, she was doing Facebook Lives all the time, and she's still doing that for the Threaded Trunk. And it appears to be working. And I know that in the cases when we were totally shut down, when I did a Facebook Live, I had people calling up and ordering things.
Yeah. I know Scott's done a few. I need Wi-Fi a little bit further back, but Scott, you've had some success with that, I think, right? Doing the Facebook Live?
Yeah, I did a live, and I did it as I've done a few, but I did one as a giveaway, and I asked people to name or title a painting, and I got a lot of engagement. And I gave away a small gift, and that's the most engagement I ever had, was doing that live video. But I also promoted it for a week or so, and then during the week I promoted it. So yeah, that is a really effective way to get people engaged. The live, yeah.
The most engagement I got was posting a picture of my dog.
Yeah.
I have
She is cute though, Chris.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Hey.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was at the BIFTA meeting, and then I had to do a book delivery.
Okay, that's great. That's fine, great.
So I'm sorry I missed some things here.
So, and Dempsey, did you have a quick announcement that you wanted to make to the artists?
Well, yeah, I did put something in chat, but we just got this grant. We got this grant. I'm still at the library. That's why I have a mask on. But the library got this grant from Vermont Arts Council for a hanging system, so we can have professional art in the library now on both the two main floors. And we're just dying to have, someone showing their work. People are coming into the library, but they have to make an appointment. But of course, we would do press release about your artwork. And we're doing something about, we might be doing something about resiliency and climate change. We might get a grant for that. If anyone has anything related to that, that we could use as a theme. I don't want to take up a lot of time, but yeah, I left my email in the chat. So please contact me, or if you want to meet as a group and do a group showing. Robert thought maybe we could film it. Just ideas.
Okay.
The
That's
other
great.
thing is, don't forget about BF3F. The gallery on Canal Street has been doing it virtually, and they've had some good sales.
Robert?
Yeah. And Betsy, did you want to introduce yourself again as the new ED at the Bellows Falls Downtown Development Alliance?
Hi there. Yes. And I did put a couple of websites in the chat.
Okay.
But what I found, so if you're able to sell things online, highly recommend, we need to get Bellows Falls a little more, visible on this. But it's lovevermont.org and 7daysvt.com is also doing takeout / any retailer, and they're, focused, of course, more northern Vermont, but anyone who has an online capability for sales, they'll put your website on there.
Great, thank you. And Bonnie, were you trying to say something? I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
Talking to me?
Yeah,
hi, Bonnie.
I am trying to say something.
Yep.
A couple things. I've been involved in publishing for many years, and I know I did an arts newspaper covering DC and Baltimore, Maryland for several years. When you promote yourself, I think it's really important to not just talk about your work, but talk about yourself. That's what gives real interest to what you're saying, who you are, how you became an artist, what your life is like, whatever, not just stick to the same old, verbose artist statement type stuff. I mean, I ran a gallery for 6 years. I've kind of been there, but really make it a personal thing. Tell your story along with the work and why you do this work, And I also want to let everybody know, when I first created the new Town of Rockingham website, I was working on it before the pandemic, and I developed a great section of slideshows about arts, music, and theater in Rockingham. And it was taken down after I gave the site over to the town, partly because a lot of it isn't happening now, right? I don't know if they'll ever bring it back, but when I made that, even though I've lived here 10 years and I've been, I'm a jewelry designer and a silversmith, and been involved in the fine craft aspect of it, and I was president of Sandglass Theater for years, so I've been involved.
Oh my goodness.
I was astounded when I put that together. I really was. I was so surprised just to put it all together. Stage 33, Main Street Arts, the galleries, the music. When I put it all together, I was blown away. I was like, wow, if I was in New York City and I came upon this website, I would make a point of going to Bellows Falls. I mean, really, it was so beautiful. The page still exists, and maybe they'll bring it back sometime. But we have a story to tell here, and each of our artists has a personal story that I'm sure would be very interesting to people.
Great, thank you. I think, unless anything, that's on that note, that's fantastic. And I'd kind of like to wrap it up so Fact TV can go home. Thank you, Colin. And I would love to hear comments back. And I want to thank, first of all the artists and all the people participated in this call. And I want to specifically thank Scott and Jeanette and Claire and and Nick and Chris for, you know, being willing to share the stories, and hopefully we can move this forward if we're interested in doing that after our next meeting, and see how everything progresses with things and stuff. And thank you, Martha, for joining us, and talk after this, but and for you know, bringing a statewide view, and for all the work that you've done over all these years to kind of keep everybody going and giving everyone a venue and stuff. And you too, Greg, for the work you're
Greg
doing.
and Lynn, yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
can I just say one thing? I've got my website going and we're putting press releases up on the website on a regular basis. So if anybody does have a press release, not a long release, but a short release with a couple of images, send them to me and we'll get them up there.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn. Great. Well, thank you all, and have a good evening. Stay safe, stay creative, and we'll see you the next time.
Thank you.
Okay.